Hello, Mayor Jeff Schielke speaking to you on Friday, May 7th, 2021. And I've got a few things of some interest to the community today that I'd like to share with you. First thing is that we are continuing to have a lot of activity at the Batavia Police Department relative to people fraudulently trying to steal identities and bamboozle people into believing that something's gone wrong with their Social Security account or their Medicare account or the Internal Revenue Service. And we have people calling up folks, and obviously they are targeting a lot of it as the senior citizen population, of which Batavia has a good number. And it appears that one of the things if you're going to do this, you look around for areas where there are people who seemingly have some type of income coming in, and that's the way you can kind of attack them, is by suggesting that something's gone wrong with one of their income streams. So this week, the Batavia Police Department has been involved in several investigations. We've had one situation where they called and said that they were from the Social Security Administration, and they had determined that they claimed the person in Batavia had taken steps to hide some of her Social Security and have it sent to some wayward space outside the United States of America to avoid paying taxes. And so they were going to immediately want to assess this person a certain amount of money to get paid back what had been fraudulently misdirected out of the United States. And what they wanted the person to do, because they didn't trust their bank account or their checking account, is they wanted the person to go get gift cards at either Target or Walmart and put them in a special envelope and ship them off to a location in the southern United States to a P.O. box. Fortunately, the person that had this happen to them was good enough to figure it all out and slam the receiver down. But this is just one good example. I will share with you that a couple weeks ago I was sitting at this desk doing some city work, and my cell phone rang, and it was some person representing that they were from the Social Security Administration, and they wanted me to know that there was a big problem going on with my Social Security account. Now that's about as far as we got, because I had on my fire department radio, and it went off, and right away the guy says to me, what's that noise I'm hearing? And I proceeded to say, well, I'm the mayor of this town, and this is I'm in the same building with the police and fire department. And when I said the police department, immediately the call was terminated. And so we grabbed the number, but the police traced it down, and it went to one of these wayward situations where you rent a phone number for an hour or two and you make calls and there's no traceability to it. And I don't understand how all that works, but apparently that's the game that we're playing with some of these people. So the police tell me that if you receive one of these calls, number one, you should call them and report it. But there's also, the Federal Trade Commission has a special website now called, the address is ftc.gov, and they have a special screen on there where you can report fraud. And if you go on there and write your name and where you live and what happened, they will enter it into an investigation, and normally they get several similar ones from given locations at any one time. So then they're able to kind of focus on this and kind of keep things understanding as to what's going on. So again, if you get called, please call the Batavia Police and make a report, and then also look on the computer at ftc.gov, and you'll see the screen that says report a fraud to the Federal Trade Commission, because they're the federal agency that's charged with this. Just the next thing I'd like to talk about just for a minute is Mother's Day, and wish everybody that is a mother or has a mother to encourage them to say Happy Mother's Day. There's a lot of different things you can do in Batavia now for Mother's Day. We have several restaurants that are going to be open, and you can take mother out for enjoyment of a Batavia cuisine, or you could certainly visit many of the stores tomorrow and Saturday that we now have at the boardwalk shops and along Wilson Street and Batavia Avenue, and maybe pick up a Mother's Day's gift. So I would encourage you to do that and understand what's going on there. The other thing that I'm happy to report today is that I believe it was yesterday or I guess it was Wednesday, McDonald's reopened their dining room in downtown Batavia, after being closed for well over a year. You could go in and order something at the counter, but then you had to leave. Well, now they've taken all the banners down and they've cleaned it all up, and they've got tables. Every other table is, they ask you not to sit there, but you can get a number of people still in the place under the constraints that they're still working. So the last couple of days, there's been a lot of people in McDonald's in the morning. So this morning, I happened in there to get a cup of coffee, and I get in there, and there was quite a group of, I'll call them the old-time Batavia crowd in there, re-enjoying this thing that's been around for many, many years. And if you want to know where Batavia trivia comes from, or what Batavia history needs an answer, question answered, you can probably go down there any morning and there'll be people there that probably could answer the question. So this morning I walk in there, and right away I got hit with 2 or 3 questions, because there's apparently several ladies from some early Batavia High School graduating classes in the early 1960s who don't live any place near Batavia, but they are, I don't know, either planning to come back or they're trying to find out answers to old-time Batavia questions. And so I got the opportunity to answer a couple of them. They wanted to know what year did we close down the Batavia High School as a high school and move out to the new, not the new now, but the location on Wilson Street. And I was a senior in high school that year, so I was able to answer that one. And then they wanted to know what year did we close down the athletic field over on Illinois Avenue as the high school field and move it over to the high school. And that did not happen till the fall of 1969, because when the new school was opened in the fall of '66, the high school field was just under construction, and or not field, but the actual field, and they didn't have any bleachers up. So it took a couple years to get that off and moved out to West Wilson Street, but that was done. So it's questions like that, and one of the questions that was being kicked around this morning was, and there was a number of people there that probably could figure out the answers, how many times in Batavia High School history since, say, the mid-1950s has there been high school graduating classes where there has been more than one person in the class with the same name? And that certainly caused a lot of scratching of the heads. And then there was some other questions, and I later got some further inquiries today about, the history of the Batavia popcorn stand. So I'm now told that George Sheets and his crew at the Batavia Library are going to adopt that question as something they're going to go out and make a video about, the history of the Batavia popcorn stand, because we are very fortunate that continues to carry on in good hands, and it's been part of the community for many years, and it really does have a proud story. So I was able to give them a name of at least one person I know that had some background with that whole thing, and I'm sure he would be pleased to go on and offer his remembrances of the Batavia popcorn stand. But the ultimate story here is that McDonald's has now reopened the dining room, and the regathering of the old-time Batavia crew is moving hot and fast. And as they say, they're already figuring out what high school graduating classes had more than one person with the same name. So that was a great question of the day, and if you're an old-time Batavian, you may want to ponder that one yourself. So I will hopefully be able to follow this up with more information as we go forth, and I wish everybody a great week, and I look forward to seeing you around town. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers who may be watching. Goodbye.